You shipped a video. It looks great on your MacBook, but when you open it on your phone, which has a weak LTE connection, it starts buffering. The problem is not that the code that you wrote for the video player is inherently bad. It's that you're using the wrong architecture. You send every viewer the same media file, and while it works on fast connections, it is extremely slow on slower connections. So let's understand the fundamental problem behind why your videos are slow in the first place. Welcome, friends. If you're new here, my name is Shruti Kapoor, and on this channel, I help you build the systems level thinking to be a senior engineer. These are exactly the kind of skills you need today in an AI world to stand out from the rest of the crowd, especially when most of the code is going to be written by AI. So if you're ready to dive deep into how to optimize your videos, let's get started. Now, here's what the fundamental problem is. Most developers, when they think about a video player, this is the code they add. There's a video element with a single movie asset file, which becomes the source of the media. While this works great in a fast connection, there's no buffering. As soon as we switch to a slower network, this is a problem because the video starts loading and there is no buffer for the video to switch to a lower resolution. We're sending one heavy file, a 1080p file, to all clients regardless of their bandwidth, their network speed, and the device resolution. This is called progressive download. There's one file, the browser fetches it sequentially, buffers a little bit ahead, and plays it when the marker gets there. And this is the fundamental limitation with a single static source file. There is no way for the media player to switch back to a lower resolution. And that is the problem that adaptive bitrate streaming solves. So let's understand how adaptive bitrate streaming fixes that problem. In adaptive bitrate streaming, the video is encoded into multiple resolutions, so the browser has an option to switch between different resolutions depending on the internet speed, the bandwidth, the width of the viewport. So in the beginning, instead of serving a video file, a manifest file is served, which is kind of like a playlist. Let's take a look. Here I have adaptive bitrate streaming turned on in this video player. You'll notice here that I've got a file here which ends in a .m3u8 extension, and that is a manifest file or a playlist file. This literally describes the different resolutions available for this movie. So in this case, we've got these resolutions and this movie source file available for that specific resolution. What you'll notice here is that the first thing the browser is going to do is fetch that manifest file or the playlist file. And then as we start playing this video, I'm going to delete this to show you how the network starts fetching. As we start fetching this video, you'll see that the next segment starts loading in, which is 360p. Because I have a pretty small screen, it actually understood that it doesn't need to fetch that 1080p segment. But watch this. If I go full screen pretty much and hit play, you'll notice as we started playing the video, the connection improved, and so it started downloading higher resolutions, which is first switching to 480p, and then once it realizes the internet connection is even better, it switched to 1080p. So the player first fetches the manifest file for any resolution, which actually defines how long those files are and which segment to pull in. So here we've got segment 0, segment 1, segment 2, and so on. And those are the actual segments that it'll pull. Once it knows which segment to play, it'll go ahead and pick that specific resolution and that specific segment. So you get the actual media file. Typically, it'll get 4 to 6 seconds of media, and at every segment boundary it can decide if it needs to switch up the resolution or go down the resolution. So if your internet improves, it'll pick up a better resolution. If it downgrades, it'll go to a lower resolution. Let's watch that. So if I slow it down to 3G connection and start playing this video, notice that the segment that is most recently downloaded is 1080p. So as we're playing the video, if the connection were to drop like down to 3G, it starts downloading lower resolution of the video, like at 360p or at 480p. And it is able to intelligently decide which resolution to pick up depending on the speed of the internet. The player is continuously monitoring the available bandwidth, the quality of the buffer, the quality of the connection, and the dimensions of the player itself. So how does adaptive bitrate streaming or ABR work? There's three main elements to it: manifest file, encoding ladder, and a media source that becomes part of the video element. We already looked at the manifest file. What is the encoding ladder? The encoding ladder looks like this, and it is a set of renditions that you want your video to be supported in. You don't have to go the entire spectrum from 240 to 4K, but you must cover the spectrum that you expect your user to be in. For a typical video that is going to be played on a mobile device to a TV device, the encoding ladder looks like this. The manifest file is a playlist. The encoding ladder is what renditions this playlist basically works under. And then the third one is the media source API that works together with the video element. Let's take a look at media source API. The media source API is actually a source of media that can be used to replace the video source for the video element. Typically in a movie player element, you will notice that we have a source which is just one single file. So how do we replace this source so we can have multiple sources? That is where the media source API comes in handy. With the media source API, we can actually modify the buffer. So the way this works is it dynamically listens to whether the buffer is finished by adding an event listener on update end. And once the buffer has finished, it picks up the next media source. And this source could be a higher resolution or a lower resolution, because we can dynamically update what should be in the buffer. And by dynamically changing this media source buffer, we can have an adaptive bitrate stream. This is what a typical movie player would look like if you want to implement adaptive bitrate streaming yourself. We first specify what quality levels you want to support. I'm only doing 480, 720 and 1080p for now. Then the most important thing here is that when we start playing the video, which is the source is open and media source is playing, we want to check what's in the source buffer. Once the buffer has finished, we want to fetch the next segment. And while fetching the next segment, we also want to make sure that we are looking for the right quality. So if the quality has improved, we want to fetch a better version. And if the quality has degraded, we want to choose a worse version. And basically, it's the dance between looking at the quality and filling in the source buffer, and finally adding that media source as the source of the video, which is how the video gets played. So as you can see, this is pretty complicated stuff. You have to think about the encoding ladder, you have to create the manifest, you have to create this custom movie player, and this can be a lot of work. Luckily, there are tools available that do all of this for you and provide adaptive bitrate streaming out of the box. And one of those tools is ImageKit, who is also the sponsor of today's video. I'm going to show you how ImageKit makes it super easy to add adaptive bitrate streaming by just adding one line of code. On the left here is the media source, the movie player file that I just walked you through. On the right here is literally everything I need to do basically all of this stuff. So let's take a look at how to do this. The first step is to include the video player that comes as part of ImageKit. Then I need to pick a protocol for adaptive bitrate streaming. I could use HLS or Dash. I also need to give which resolutions my video will be supported in. So if I was only working on desktop, I can remove both of these and just keep 720, 1080p and 480 and maybe add 4K. Then I need to specify my ImageKit ID. I already have this set up. This is going to be available on your dashboard, and you provide the source. You really have to do nothing besides just adding one resolution of your video. I've added a 1080p version here, but ImageKit automatically converts this video into a lower resolution like 360 and 480 depending on my internet connection. And then all I gotta do is pass these options down to the movie player that comes as part of ImageKit. And that's all I need to do to have a adaptive bitrate streaming automatically out of the box for me configured based on my options. Now if I click on a video, open my network tab, start playing this video, the first thing that I get is a manifest file followed by the actual file itself, and as the speed improves, I'm gonna get adaptive bitrate streaming right out of the box. Extremely easy to implement. I highly recommend that you try out adaptive bitrate streaming with ImageKit and see how easy it is. It works especially well if you have long videos or if you need to support multiple resolutions. The link is gonna be in the description, check it out. Also, all of the source code is also available in the description. Adaptive bitrate streaming is great, especially if you have long videos. However, if you're working with shorter videos like a 30-second reel, you won't have time to see the segments of adaptive bitrate streaming stream in. In those cases, you may still want to rely on progressive downloading. Another case where adaptive bitrate streaming is not suitable is, for example, when you know for sure that your user will have a specific resolution and they will always get the same kind of quality. For example, if you know that their users are working on, for example, admin dashboards, which are are always going to be used with a high quality internet connection. In that case, you don't need adaptive bitrate streaming. In those cases, you may still want to switch back to progressive download. And we talked a little bit about progressive download. There's also 4 low-hanging fruits that you can do to make sure that your videos are optimized regardless of which kind of streaming, ADR or progressive download you choose. Here are 4 low-hanging fruits you can use to optimize your videos. Number 1, use a CDN. If you're serving files directly from your server, which is just one place for anybody in the world to get, it is going to be a lot slower than fetching it from a CDN, which is closer to where the user is. So number 1, move your files to a CDN. ImageKit comes with a CDN. You can also use any other CDN that supports video content. Number 2, choosing the right size of the video. If you know that your users are going to be using the videos on a smaller device, or if you're building for a mobile screen, you do not want to serve them a desktop-sized video of 1080p to a small screen. Instead, you want to ship a smaller version of the video. Thankfully, doing that with ImageKit is extremely simple. On the left here is the documentation of ImageKit that shows how a video can be resized. So if you have a 720p video and you want to limit the height to 300, you can use the TR attribute and pass a height of 300 pixels. Now, what's really cool is that you can also pass an aspect ratio, and let me show you how to convert that big video we were watching into a small screen video. So just by adding this attribute TR equals AR 9_16, I've converted that 1080p video into a 9:16 video by just changing the aspect ratio. Of course, a lot of this video is cut out and you can crop it if necessary, but you're able to convert a 1080p video into a 9:16 video by literally passing a parameter. Extremely easy to do this with ImageKit. Number 3 is lazy loading your videos. And this is specifically helpful if you have a lot of videos in your app and you do not want to load all of them as soon as the user lands on your page. The reason for that is the user may never even click on a video to play it. So you actually want to wait until the user has shown intent of watching the video to actually play the video. There's a few ways to do that, but let's take a look where in Instagram how you have a scroll functionality, and if the user scrolls close to the video, we start loading it. So here the first thing we're going to do is turn preload to none so that we tell browser not to fetch the video until the user interacts with it. Then we're going to tell the browser exactly when the interaction begins by using intersection observer. So we're going to tell the browser that if the user is in the proximity of the video, then you should assign the source of the video to the video asset URL, which basically starts downloading the video. This works really well for progressive download, and you can use the same principle to initialize the streaming movie player as well. So basically with lazy loading, we don't need to initialize until the user actually needs the video. And finally, mute the audio of the video. This is specifically helpful for videos that work as background videos behind elements, specifically in hero banners where there's a video playing in the background but you never actually hear the sound of that video. In that case, you can mute the audio of that video, and that reduces the file size by 15 to 20%. In ImageKit, this is extremely easy to do by just adding a flag AF false to the TR attribute itself in the URL, and you've got a muted audio. So we looked at a lot today. We looked at 5 different video optimization techniques: adaptive bitrate streaming, using a CDN, changing the resolution and quality, changing the size of the video, lazy loading videos, and muting the audio. Adaptive bitrate streaming is an important technique through which you can encode one video into multiple renditions, and the browser can smartly pick which quality to use depending on your bandwidth and connection quality and your device size. So next time you have a slow video, see if you can use adaptive bitrate streaming for that video and use one of the 5 techniques we talked about to optimize the video. The good thing is that you don't have to DIY all of this. A tool like ImageKit handles the hard part of the stack. You can add these optimizations one step at a time. Link to ImageKit is in the description. Link to the code repo is also in the description. If this video helped you, give it a big thumbs up. I'll see you in the next